I'm sure you may have seen this, that one gentleman who died and arrived on the other world, he found the two sides and there were queues, men were queuing. In one side, under one side, they were said, all those men who have been dominated by their wives whilst on earth, they can stand here. And that queue was said to be long to infinity. And on this queue, all those men who have never been dominated by their wives, stand here. There was only one man here. And this newcomer was interested. He went to ask this guy, how did you succeed to be able to stand here alone? And this gentleman, this loner said, do you think I know? My wife just told me to stand here. So, it became very clear we are all in the same situation. Sometimes people who divorce think they are the only ones who have real problems. I've already told you this, the example of the lady who can't cook well. Every one of us have issues.
Yeah.
The difference between people who divorce and those who remain married, it's not the number of problems or the size of the problem, it's how they deal with them. Every one of us have issues because we are different. Ellen Craigman has written a book, and I encourage, if you are able to find this book, please find it. There's a book written for men, Light a Fire. There's a book written for women, Light His Fire, Ellen Craigman. I just like the author. And then she talks to, what does a woman want? She says a woman wants to be your priority, your first priority. Her first. Before job, before your other family members, before your friends, let me be your priority. Number one, even before church. And then she goes on, what does a woman want? She wants her needs to be attended above everyone else's needs. She must be first to get the attention. What does she want? She doesn't want to be compared. No other woman comes close to being as wonderful for you as she is. No comparison. She wants to be admired continually. Is that true, ladies?
Yes.
Yes. What does she want? She wants you to brag about her to your friends and family. It said that one customer went to a shop. She wanted to buy a gas pipe, plastic pipe or poly pipe. And then she says to the salesman, I want half a meter length. And the salesperson said, no, we don't sell half meters here. We sell full length, 1 meter. And then they argue for a while. And the customer says, no, I want to see the manager. So the salesperson goes upset to the office of the manager. And then she comes there and says to the manager, hi boss, you know, there's some idiot out there who says he wants a half length of a gas pipe. And I was saying to him, we only sell a full length. What he didn't realize was that when he went to the office, the customer was following him. And just when he finishes, he sees this guy standing saying, he says, but this nice gentleman says he can buy the other half. Because he was referring to him as an idiot when he didn't see. And then he realizes he's here. No. So, what does a woman want? She wants you to speak very well, brag about her when she's not there. She wants you to feel proud that she is your mate or your wife. She wants you to prove your love. And by the way, when women talk about proving love. For men, proving love is sex. No. Sex is not a proof of love for women. It is not. It is a proof of love for men. It's not a proof of love for women. Something else will have to be done. She wants you to think that she's the most beautiful alive, most beautiful woman alive on earth. That's what she wants you to think. She wants you to think that who she is and what she does is nothing short of a miracle. She's just there below a miracle. That's according to Ellen, what a woman wants. She wants your tender, your loving care at those special moments of the month when the her emotions are ruled by her hormones. She wants your understanding at that time of the year. And she wants daily reminder of how much you love her. We get bored, men, to tell a woman every day, I love you. True. And some men said, but I told you. That day when the pastor declared, I said, I love you. If I changed, I would have told you. The fact that I'm still quiet, that still stands. Now it cannot be. Women don't expect that. Even though it's boring for us, it does not bore women. They just want to hear it again and again and again and again. They don't even check whether you mean it. They don't even check whether, but they want to hear it. That's the first thing we must do. Of course, they want you to, but they don't necessarily generally check. Do you really mean it? They will see that you didn't mean it when the actions don't follow. But for a start, they want to hear that you love. One, of course, then they want you to show that you love. And don't, after this, and then say you're going to prove your love is bad. No, they want it outside. You prove outside. It doesn't have to be sex. But that's according to Ellen Craigman. What do men want? And I think if you read both Ellen Craigman and David Hunt, he has also written about his needs and her needs. And he says men, on the top on their list is sexual fulfillment. And I've always said to the new marrying girls, please know sex is going to be part of the game of life. If you think you can't afford it, don't marry. And I'm sure all of you are here now know. You deal with issues as soon as you think issues are dealt with, it is expected the next thing will be sex. Because there is much more behind sex than pleasure for a man. There's a positive power play, there is affirmation, there is acceptance, there is assurance of being needed. So sex is very important. It's not important to you, but it's important to the man you've married. Men are looking for companionship, especially they are looking for entertainment, and that's why you must model for your man. He enjoys it, he likes it. They are looking for an attractive spouse. And you would hear now, it sounds like a contradiction. I said to the girls, if you find a man who describes that, just run away. But that's anyway, naturally what men are looking for. And therefore men don't measure their value by not their own lookability, but they measure their value by the lookability of their spouses. So it's important how you look, how you smell. It matters. And I've always said to all to women, just remember, at work, you know there are women who passes, you are in your office, he passes through the passage, you can smell her perfume. Okay? And then men say, and then you go home. You either, at best, no smell, at worst, a repulsive one. Of course, the same applies to women. At work, there are some admiration, some remarks, and they have to keep closing their ears because there are men who will be commenting positively about this. And remember this poor woman who's trying to resist hearing all these things, which she knows she wish she could hear. It's just that it's the wrong person who's admiring. The right person doesn't admire, it's just quiet. You leave home, it's as if nobody saw you. And you get to work, people say, wow, you changed your hairstyle. It's as if when you left work in the morning, you went via the saloon. Because nobody noticed at home that you changed the hairstyle. And these are things that in church we just need to remind each other and encourage one another that these things are important. You save your spouse all these temptations, because if really you can't appreciate her hairstyle, and some men that she doesn't even like, keep appreciating, ultimately she will succumb to that temptation. Men are looking for domestic support, home builder, helper. I was reading on the Facebook, some colleague I worked with, and incidentally my wife was not home that weekend. And I read all these men, and this man was saying to men, hey, I don't know how you guys are coping. You know, when my wife is not home, I prefer to sleep in the lounge because I'm reluctant to undo the bed because it's going to be a job to do it back. And all these men were commenting. The other one said, I just sleep on top of the beds. And I said, yeah, I can identify with you. At least I'm careful. When my wife is not there, I'm sleeping alone. I just sleep on my side, my portion, and I behave myself so that I don't disturb the rest of the bed. So that in the morning when I must make up, it's not, I don't have to redo the whole bed. Because I think the way women do bed, you do it so nicely. But for us it's so complex. With all the many pillows, the small ones, the big ones, and the whatever sizes. Such that if I must do it, I don't even know if I will know the order. And I'm sure anyway you will find fault with the way I've not done it adequately. So I just use my small space and not turn around overnight so that I don't disturb the bed. And I found a number of those men who were commenting on the Facebook that they seem to have been sharing that. Others said, I just went sleep in there, watch the TV in the lounge, sleep there, so that I don't disturb the bed. I hope other men can do better than us. But, and that's why we must appreciate women. They make our lives very interesting in terms of the things that they do for us, our children. And I'm sure you know when you are away, children will have to eat chips, pizza, everything that can be bought. And if you were to go away for a long time, you can be sure your children will be eating junk the whole month. What do men want? They want admiration and affirmation. Ellen Craigman says, behind every man there is a little boy. who wants to be loved. There's mama's little boy who wants to be loved. And therefore you must know, you guys have married mama's little boy. Okay? So you must do that tending that mama was doing. Otherwise the risk of when somebody goes to mama and mama tend him with whether the biscuits or whatever, mama knows this boy loves. It will create some rift in the home. A few things around communication. Now I want to finish around here. The ground rules are important. Agree what are the ground rules. Talk about your plans. Feedback when you come back, whether from the bank or from work. It's important to know that. Trust the wisdom of your spouse. It may be different, but trust the wisdom of your spouse. Avoid as much as you can the surprises. Share the plans. There are those guys and girls who can do surprises, hoping your spouse likes surprises. Make sure, because if you do surprises and this person doesn't like surprises, you may be shocked. Talk about money. And it's important that we keep talking about money. When we can't agree, let's seek for help, advice. And let's be humble. Especially when we are wrong, when we have omitted certain things, to be willing to say, I'm sorry. Don't have hidden issues. Be open in your discipling relationships. Be faithful. And don't exaggerate. Be honest, because that will help. Anyway, the ground rules, I thought I wouldn't go to that. Amongst other things, avoid name calling. I've already told you that. No absolutes. You never, you always. This thing creates a tension and widens the gap between people. Also, rather than accuse the other person, explain your own situation. What you have said makes me feel this way. Explain your situation, how you feel, so that the other person understands. Make open disclosures what you want, how you're feeling, what your fears are. I assisted a couple the wife has suddenly made a disclosure, and it created a tension in the family. So I was trying to assist the discussion. So I said to this woman, I'm sure, and I raised a number of things that I thought she may want to discuss with her husband, what her fears were. One of the things I said, I'm sure one of the issues is now that you discover your husband had a child outside marriage before you guys got married, you're wondering how many other children may be there that he didn't tell you about that you are likely to discover. She said, yes. And so just ask him, are there any other children? Are there any other? So that if he says no, there are no others, of course the question is, will you believe? And I said, you will need to resolve that before you ask him, because he's going to give you an answer, but suppose he says, there are no other, will you believe him? Now that you think you have been betrayed. Negative scoring, as well as the wrongs register, should be kept away. No recalling the past, that's the negative, the wrongs register. Allow the breathing space. If somebody needs to go and think about it, if somebody needs a cooling off before we can resume the discussion again, you will need to agree what would work for you. And it's best to agree on this when you are in your best mood. Agree on that, on the ground rules, and write them. So that the day there's trouble, you pull out that. Oh. What time is it? Can we stop? What time is this? Because there's church. Eh? All right. 10 minutes. What is intimacy? What is sexual intimacy and what is not. Sex is not intimacy, but intimacy includes sex. Okay? Sex does not include intimacy. You can have sex without intimacy. But intimacy will ultimately lead to that, it will include that. And also that sex does not meet all the needs for intimacy, we must tell people. Sex does not answer all things. Okay? It's important to do that. It is meant to consummate the oneness, both physical and emotional. And the issue we must always deal with, is it love plus sex or sex plus love? And there will always be two versions. God has created it for recreation, release, for reproduction, for companionship. Those are the three uses. No one is important, more important than the others. What is always important is who owns and controls sex in the relationship. And that's the problem. When somebody seems to own and control this, it should by right be the two of you. Principles McGee in his book wrote on the biblical principles on sex, that sexual relations within marriage are holy. I asked some people in Tembisa one year, I said, do you guys ever pray before, during, after sex? Why did I not ask correctly? Do you guys ever pray before, during, after sex? And this woman said, I wrote, no, we can't do that. I said, why? It's not a very holy thing. I said, why? You think God must not look at you when you're naked? By the way, in the Old Testament, everything that was done in the holy place would be holy. Everything that was done by holy people would be holy. And it does not change in the New Testament. All the things that are done by holy people should be holy. And if they're holy, God gets attracted where there is holiness. But many people would wish God could just look away when they are busy. That's why they wouldn't want to invite him. They don't want to temper with him. They want to make sure when they are done and even dressed, then they can call on him. But it all has to do with the mindset. Now, if somebody steals your car and drive it for a few years, okay, in Mamelodi, and the police find it and get it and repossess it and bring it to you, and you take it, driving it in Mamelodi, people will think you have stolen that thief's car. Whereas it is the thief who stole your car, you've just recovered it. And that's what happens with sex. The devil has stolen sex and he abuses it. But when we have recovered in the Lord what is holy and right, he makes us feel ashamed that we have sex. That's why we don't even want to speak about it in church. And that's why we don't even want to educate our children. They get married, not knowing, and parents and pastors can't speak to the young guys who are going to marry about sex. They use some parables and figures of speech. But the devil is making us feel guilty that we are doing the right thing, in the right place, in the right way. Therefore, it is holy. It is as holy as the all-night prayer. Okay, sexual pleasure should be regulated by the fact that one does not live for himself or for herself, but for the other. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. You will find it there. Sexual relations should be continuous and should be regular, and this is assumed. The principle of mutual satisfaction means that each party is to provide the sexual enjoyment which is due to the other person wherever needed. So, and as I say, sex always have two sides. It's a pleasure one moment, it's a duty another moment. So we must carry this together, keep this always in your mind. In one pocket, it's pleasure, the day you like it, enjoy it, but another day, it's a duty you must endure for the good of the other person. Because it is in that day that the other person thank God so much that he got this nice thing, and in the meantime, the other person doesn't know you're just enduring. You say, when does he or she finishes? But that's part of the marriage game, the mutuality. We should avoid bargaining. Now, if somebody didn't buy me a pizza when I wanted, I don't want somebody to touch my body. I said, buy me a pizza, you said no. So, you refused with your money, I refused with my body. It would be wrong to do that. And that's why we must teach people. And if many young people would understand these things, a number of them would not rush into marriage. Especially if we make men understand also how difficult it is for men to have sex when your mind is not there and you do it for your wife. It can be such a duty. The relations are equal and reciprocal. Reciprocal in that today it's you, tomorrow is the other person. And you must be willing to serve. Then Howard Mills, I got this from him. What are the intimacy killers? One is just the misinformation. I've already talked to that. The cultural taboos. And this is a problem. That's why we must teach the right things in the church, because the wrong things have been taught for a long time. The lack of skill. I have often dealt with young people who have never engaged in sex before. And when that time comes, I must explain to them what they do, how they use these tools. I must explain and give them some guidance. And sometimes you have given them that theory and it still does not necessarily immediately work. And one couple had theirs that this theory didn't work when they were at honeymoon. They were not getting penetration, and this guy called. I said, try to provide guidance, but I said in the end, anyway, if you can't get a breakthrough, don't worry. Just enjoy honeymoon without sex, and then we will talk when you come back. But I said to this girl, I'm sure you're scared. She said, no, I'm not scared. I said, you're scared, my girl? No, I'm not scared. I said, okay, you know, and I'm sure all of the ladies know, this head can go through the vagina. You all know that. The doctors do that and the nurses. True? Yes. So if this head can go through, I mean, compare this with a penis. And then, of course, she then admitted she was scared. Because men may not know this, but women know. When a woman is tense, remember all the muscles around the vagina, they are not bones, it's all muscles. But when the woman is tense, those muscles can be as tough as if there is a bone. That's how tense, when a woman is tense, the muscles can be as hard as if there is a bone. So, part of the counseling and the teaching, and that's why I always say to the girls, when you go to this, the bridal shower, I say, when you are at the bridal shower, if the women tell you something different from what I told you, ignore them quietly. Don't tell them. I say ignore them because Actually, you guys scare each other there in part of the counseling. Hey, it was painful. I explained to them, yes, there will be pain, but it's a necessary pain. You can get over it in the way you frame your mind. Now, I'm telling you up front, it's possible you'll have some 1 minute pain, but it's over. So, I'm just talking about the fact that we need to provide that skill. Now, one couple told me, after I've dealt with their case, that, before we called you, and that's the beauty of premarital counseling, because I've talked to this thing that embarrassed them at that time, they can freely relate now. When they have a trouble, they can, and of course I tell them, I'll ask them after a month or two, if they are succeeding. But they said, we asked our friends before we called you. And they told us that we were in a hurry. Some of them stayed for a month, up to 3 months without getting penetration. I said, we don't know what our children are going through, and they don't tell. But because after you have discussed with them these things, they are willing to open up and say, hey man, we don't seem to know what we are doing. So there's issue of skill. One of the intimacy skill, of course, is that the creativity. You need innovation. Of course, again, some guidance is needed. I teach the very basic things. You all know the missionary position. Most Christians that's the best they can do. Man on top and the woman reading the roof all the time. But there's a need to change. And one of the very basic things I teach my girls, I said, my girl, one thing I want you to tell me after 3 months is you are able to have sex on the side. Because it will help you when you are pregnant. You can have sex even at that morning before you're going to deliver. If you can have sex on the side, number one. 2, it would help you to be able to have control. I mean, imagine, suddenly you are carrying 70 kilograms. You can't even move a bit. So, it's better if you can do it on the side. You will be able to, change the angles to get what suits you. Otherwise, you're always at the mercy of this back that is on top of you. And it would reduce that. Of course, there are other psychological issues that would affect, particularly when there are problems. The communication, it's important also that people know what bothers you, how you see things. Physical, and that's why I want people to do this, don't just, if something persistent may happen, how do you accommodate each other? Because one of you will not perform at best. Of course, when there is a conflict, it must be resolved because it will affect any of the two of you. Fatigue, it's also important that when one of you has this stress or fatigue, talk about it, make up or arrange how you will make up once the counseling is done. If it's just fatigue for a night or that evening, negotiate your way into the following days or following week. Of course, there's a problem with this immorality. It will affect the relationship. I think I want to pass this. Just want to see what is left. Yeah, I want to close with this slide. It's all important for us to be specialist lovers. You have one woman or one man you're going to take care of for the rest of your life. Try and understand this person. How do you deal with this person? How do you show love to this person? How do you accommodate this person? Be innovative, bring a variety. Sometimes people think we Christians are not innovative. We Christians don't love variety. We're normal human beings. Just learn, do the best. Be a selfless giver. Don't be stingy. Do it to the glory of God. And be grateful for what you have. And keep on improving on that. and communicate for change, give feedback, ask for feedback, and by the way, you would never know your person has enjoyed the sex session unless your person tells you. Okay? And I don't know whether people ever give feedback when they're done that you did well, I liked when you do this, I enjoyed that, I wish you could continue that, and next time I need this variety. Because the only person who can educate you about your partner is your partner, himself or herself. Now, whether people ever talk or they just enjoy and keep quiet, it's another story. But I also wish people could also, during the session, give an indication that, yeah, no, there you are pressing the right button. Because how would the other person know? Everyone interprets in terms of what he enjoys. He thinks when you enjoy, you think the other person is enjoying. Until the other person tells you, your guess it may be right. Okay, we're done. The big issue is, if there's another opportunity in the next life, would you be chosen? And that's what we must make sure when you leave. If you leave before your spouse, this person will keep remembering you. All right, I think we stop here. Thank you.